Sweet the whispers in your ear whenever Ember wanders near.
Okay. Chet, time to buckle up. Because I wanted to look at this because I think I'm about to once again be proven correct. I do. Because Clownfish TV put out a video. They put out a video, I think this was today. This is 2 days ago. Clownfish TV put out a video on Friday. And I have a feeling that they're going to be talking about exactly what I've been saying for some time now. Because the Clownfish video is titled Mainstream Media Pivots to YouTube. And as some of you may have recalled, what I've said in regards to mainstream media and YouTube, why perhaps YouTube has been so bad about why they've been like booting out AI channels.
Is so cute. I can't.
Why they have
She's
been
so
stringent about their, like overly stringent regarding community guideline strikes. Why they've been basically slapping around creators. Yeah, copyright. Why creators that they've had a very good relationship before have suddenly started getting slapped around left, right, and center. What did I say? Is that they're trying to make themselves a mainstream media aggregate. They're trying to push small creators off the platform to make room for mainstream media. And I'm curious if what Clownfish has to report on this is going to confirm, deny, or exalt the possibility that there's still a chance that I could be right, about what I was saying. So let's take a look. And mods, please make sure we're set back onto just chatting again, if you could, please.
Pivot to video. That was.
Oh, I didn't know Geeky was on this. Sorry, Neon. You know the rules. Geeky's on screen. She gets the screen time. Sorry, it's in the bylaws. Us redheads have to stick together.
It was like Learn to Code a couple of years ago. If you told journalists to pivot to video, you were basically like, you're a dinosaur. You need to get with the times. It was an insult. And now everybody is pivoting to video because websites have completely collapsed.
Yep.
And we're going to talk about it because there's a lot going on here. We've got this article coming from the Hollywood Reporter talking about how all these legacy media companies are trying to push into YouTube and podcasts. And then...
well, it's not only the legacy media themselves, like the legacy mainstream media. You notice how many reporters that have been either quit from their stations or were fired. What did they immediately do? They immediately go into, I'm going to create my own podcast. Don Lemonhead did that. When he got fired from CNN, Tucker Carlson, Don Lemon, when they got fired from their respective networks, what did they do? They immediately set up their own podcasts and posted their videos to YouTube almost immediately. Did Joy Reid do the same thing? Joy Reid did. Chris Cuomo, Chris Cuomo, I believe, is actually still part of a network. Chris Cuomo, I don't know if he started doing his own podcast. I do believe he is still on a network because we saw his interview with Caleb Hammer. And that was part of a news network. Yeah, that was Newsmax. That wasn't his own podcast. So he's still gainfully employed by a network. But all these other reporters that were either quit or fired by their respective news agencies almost immediately set up their own podcast, and they continue with their journalism, which is anything but journalistic, as a podcast.
We've got CNN, waiting for the other shoe to drop because Barry Weiss will probably be put in charge of CNN, and they're stressing out over it. And she's pushing for everyone to go into like podcast style commentary. And they tried doing that on CNN. They were doing those like really budget cut podcasts where they're streaming from their offices. Do you remember that?
Right. But I mean, it's not just them though. Like across the board, they keep trying to, since they're losing to places like YouTube, they're all trying to suddenly, let's pivot that way. But
Except that's not the problem. The problem isn't that they need to pivot to YouTube. The problem is nobody believes them anymore. That's the problem. What the legacy media is failing to grasp is not that, oh, everything is all podcasts now, we have to transition into podcasting versus traditional legacy media. It's that no one trusts the legacy media anymore, and instead of going to the legacy media for their news, they are going to YouTubers who are not outright lying to them on a daily basis with every report. So it's correct. They are doing this for all the wrong reasons. They're basically doing what Disney is doing with Doomsday. You can actually see the parallels. Legacy media is going, oh, everybody's watching news on YouTube now, i.e. they're watching like podcasters or they're watching news like YouTubers that are giving them the skinny, that are getting, basically they're looking at Nick Shirley and going, holy shit, he's getting a lot of views. We want the kind of views that Nick Shirley is getting. Nick Shirley is strictly on YouTube. And they're thinking, oh, well, clearly the issue is we need to go over to YouTube and start doing it that way. They're making the same mistake Disney is making with Doomsday, where they looked at the success of Deadpool and Wolverine, and instead of looking at that and going, huh, so the audience just wants a really fun, bombastic, hilarious, great characters with Deadpool being hilariously stupid, Wolverine being Wolverine for once. Instead of looking at that, they went, cameos. The audience just wants a metric fuck ton of cameos, so we're going to do a metric fuck ton of cameos in Doomsday, and the audience is just going to love it, right? So they're like, the legacy media is making the exact same mistake that Disney is making in this respect, where they're not looking at the root cause. They're looking at strictly surface level of what's the easiest thing to do. And then they're going that route instead of actually doing the hard thing. With media, actually telling the truth and actually doing legitimate reporting. With Disney, actually writing a good story with good characters. They're both making the same exact errors.
if they wanted to watch you, they would have watched you.
Yeah, it's kind of like, you're trying to get away from somebody and then they move in next door and then you move again and then they move next door again, Not
It's
that
they won't leave. It's like civil
they won't leave. Like, can you not take a hint? I don't want to live next to you. Yeah, no, that's just it. The audience has moved on. They moved to YouTube because they want different voices. And now the mainstream media wants to follow them wherever they go because they are desperate to stay in business.
And by the way, no, remember what I said about Nick Shirley is the mainstream media, the corporate media looked at Nick Shirley, and the reason why they went after him is they were jealous as hell. Because Nick Shirley was doing investigative journalism that they couldn't even hope to do anymore because he was actually doing it because he actually had journalistic integrity, and all they care about was smearing someone in service to their corporate overlords, whomever they were backing that week. And this is exactly it. They're trying to capture Nick Shirley numbers.
So let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. You'll get woohoo if you do.
Woohoo.
Go out to more.clownfishtv.com. That's moreclownfishtv.com for more episodes you will not find here on YouTube. Because we're going to move in right next to you. You can't escape us. You can.
Sorry, I'm going to disagree with you. You cannot do Secret Wars without these cameos. I'm not saying you can't do cameos. What I'm saying is we've seen the script for Doomsday, or at least the suspected script for Doomsday. And the problem is not the cameos. The problem is that they're elevating the importance of the cameos over the story and the characters. That's the problem. That's what when I'm referencing the cameos in Doomsday as basically trying to copy and paste Deadpool. They're basically saying cameos, not character, not story. That's what I'm referencing in that respect.
Go out to the audio version of Clownfish TV. That'd be on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you listen to podcasts. Just look for Clownfish TV podcasts. And we have been following the great media collapse. Basically, everything has collapsed over the last like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, but the problem is because they're losing their lunch, they want yours. And so
Yes.
as we're seeing this go down, they think the answer is to come in and take from everybody else, which is why we see like the BBC is trying to force their way into being featured at YouTube in the UK.
Yep.
Yes.
And there's the other one too. The story about the BBC. Where we covered this too. Like it started with that, where they're basically going to try and force YouTube to promote the BBC channels on YouTube well above any independent content creators. So it started with with what was once a democracy and is now turned into a fascist dictatorship that are basically literally trying to do the fascist thing and control, or the communist thing and control the media by saying YouTube is only going to put BBC and BBC related content first and foremost up in the news in the YouTube feed, and any independent content creators are going to get buried underneath a plethora of BBC content. Isn't Canada already doing this? No, they're not. At least not in YouTube. My YouTube feed is not inundated with, I do get some if I scroll down a little bit my YouTube feed, I will see like some CBC stuff, sure, but it's not like the top. Like my algorithm is not, it's not pushing CBC or CTV or anything like that into the top of the algorithm. At least not yet.
And we have people like at other Hollywood networks and stuff are trying to sign deals with YouTube that they get boosted and promoted, and they're going to promote those who pay or their darlings above
Yes.
everybody else. So if they're gonna willing to give it to YouTube or pay to play, they're gonna get boosted above everyone else anyway, because they're so desperate, thinking they're losing. The problem is it doesn't mean people are gonna watch it because they didn't watch it before.
Yep.
Right. So we'll talk about that, because all of these things are related. Like I said, we actually talked about at length on more.clownfishtv.com if you want to watch that episode. The BBC is basically going to try to use the government to force you to watch their content, to have it surfaced over creator content.
Mm-hmm.
And now we know that YouTube, the new CEO Neil Mohan, is signing all kinds of deals with Hollywood. He wants Hollywood.
He loves it. They're kissing his ass.
They're kissing his ass because it's the biggest game in town, right? And they're trying to basically reposition.
And that's a problem. That's a problem for other reasons. Is that YouTube is, well, from a legal definition standpoint, they are not a monopoly. YouTube, from a sociological perspective, YouTube is absolutely a monopoly right now. The only other game in town that has any level of competition to YouTube is Rumble, and Rumble is well behind YouTube in terms of user base and how many people watch anything on there. So yeah, this is a problem that YouTube has this monopoly, because YouTube has absolutely zero incentivization to innovate and to basically not just slap the fuck out of anybody they don't like. That's a problem, because they wield way too much power and control over over the social zeitgeist, and we're going to be seeing even more if the news agencies now jump onto YouTube and cut a deal with YouTube to be their primary broadcasters, and YouTube pushes them higher in the algorithm, which supposedly they were bitching about with the BBC. Let's see if they do the same thing with American news broadcasting agencies. It's basically, it's going to do one of two things. Either it's going to disincentivize people to continue making content on YouTube, and they'll do what YouTube has been trying to do and push people off the platform. Or, on a slightly more helpful note, is that it may push push the independent creators off YouTube, push them over to Rumble, and the audience follows. That would be I would love to see that. I would love to see that if YouTube basically does this, if they start pushing legacy media over independent content creators like the UK is wanting to do, then the customer base basically fucks off from YouTube, and then everybody goes over to Rumble, and then all of a sudden Rumble out of nowhere just becomes a major competitor to YouTube, and it forces YouTube to actually innovate for once. And for YouTube to go, oh, I guess the status quo doesn't work anymore. We can't keep treating our content creators like dog shit. Problem is with the problem, a lot of those YouTube assholes infect Rumble. And that's been something that Rumble has to contend with lately. Is Rumble, unfortunately, is a little Wild West-y. Rumble is kind of the COD lobby of social media video sharing space. It is. There's a lot of unhinged users on Rumble. Without question, that is something that they're going to have to overcome. I think they can do it, though. I think if Rumble knuckles down and really kicks it into overdrive in terms of fixing their back end systems, fixing their UI, really cleaning it up, maybe getting a little bit tighter on the moderation, little bit. Rumble could do well.
YouTube, I think, as a Netflix competitor, they're saying that's not the case, but that's absolutely the case. That's absolutely what's going on. So yeah, everybody's kind of tripping over themselves trying to get on YouTube. We'll talk about Ms. Now, MSN. They're signing a deal with a third party, which is weird, to get on YouTube. Meanwhile, some guy in his basement can just start a YouTube account and
again
post.
If you're failing, your network's failing on its own, and you have all that marketing money behind you, and you had people's attention and everything else, and you're failing on your own.
Okay, hang on. I want to address this. Where'd it go? I don't think so. I like Rumble's free speech, even if it's wrong to some. It's not a question of tamping down on free speech. I'm not talking about Rumble users throwing out slurs or anything like that. That's not what I'm referring to. I'm talking about the unhinged Rumble users that are actually making that, the amount of Rumble users that will make death threats. That's when I'm talking about being unhinged, is going actually full violent, calling for violence against others, stuff like that. That's what I'm referring to by the Rumble user base being pretty fucking unhinged. Yes.
It's because of you, and no matter how much effort
bots,
you go to YouTube, people still aren't going to watch you. They're still going to go find the people they trust and not watch you. If they try to force it on you, people still aren't going to watch it.
Finally, the media is pivoting to video. The infamous pivot to video in the 2010s was a disaster for publishers. They said that back then they were too early. They said the scars of that mistake still linger in newsrooms, magazines, and digital media outlets everywhere, like the splatter of the watermelon that BuzzFeed exploded by constricting it with rubber bands.
To be fair, though, we've always been ahead on stuff, too, and you can literally get into something too early, and it bites you in the ass. We know this because we were ahead of the curve on so many things, and then it bit us in the ass.
Yeah, I think, we have been. And then you jump out of it because you're like, well, it's not a viable business. You jump out of it. Other people come in later. They figure out how to make money, and then you look like an also ran.
No, I think at that point it's just more accepted.
Yeah. The outlets that got hosed in the shift weren't making a mistake. They were just too early to the game and had become too compliant to the tech platforms that had been feeding them audiences for years. You had to pay to play, though. The same thing's happening on YouTube, though. You're gonna have to pay to play. They're going to. They're going to grease YouTube's palms, and that's how all these mainstream media outlets are going to get boosted above people like us. That's just how it works. This week, New York Times executive editor Joe Kahn appeared on Peter Kafka's Channels podcast, where he framed the outlet's rush into video as a race against time.
And how ironic that this New York Times executive is appearing on a YouTuber's podcast. I mean, even the mainstream in the mainstream media is going on YouTube podcasts. They 100%. The legacy media is trying to get YouTube to become their new news aggregate. Without question. That is the route they're going. It is. Block them from my recommendations. Unless YouTube does something to the website that does not allow you to block them. YouTube could do that. YouTube could prevent you from basically doing the do not recommend this channel to me. And if it's a certain news channel that's paying to be on their website, YouTube may just go, okay, we're going to ignore that. We're going to keep pushing into your feed, which again will result in people leaving the platform. If they do that, if something like that does occur, that will probably more than anything start pushing users off the platform. It may start pushing content creators to start posting more on sites like Rumble. And so you may see a dynamic shift of people from if all of this occurs, you may see that dramatic shift to Rumble, kind of like how we saw the shift with people on Twitch, either moving entirely or dual streaming on Kick. Because of what Twitch was doing, because of the way they handle business, a lot of content creators either made a 100% shift over to Kick, or they at very least started to dual stream over on Kick because of how the company was running things. And I think if YouTube falls into the same trap, they're already on the precipice of it. There are people already pissed with the way that YouTube treats its content creators. So they're already on the precipice of creators and users doing this to YouTube, where they just kind of go, you know what, enough's enough. I'll at very least dual post. And, and users are going to go, well, if they see like, okay, things are moderated or things are like censored over on YouTube, where you have content creators that constantly have to like, that are reliant upon ad revenue, constantly having to blur things out or basically bleep naughty words, and they don't have to do that on Rumble, you'll end up starting to see a lot more users migrating over to Rumble where they can see, effectively speaking, the uncensored version.
And as a big transformation, as the print to digital transformation, basically Google destroyed websites. Maybe this was part of the plan. They destroyed websites.
Okay, I'm pausing a lot here. YouTube's already deleted dislikes from shorts. How much longer till they delete? They deleted the dislikes from long videos already. Dislikes have not been in existence for regular videos for a long time. The only reason why we see dislikes is because of a browser. No, the button. Oh, you mean just deleting the button entirely? That's probably coming. That is probably coming. I mean, already let me take a peek here. Already in YouTube Studio, my dashboard in regards to my videos and stuff that when I post, they've already moved likes. I have no idea how liked any of my videos are, because it's been completely removed. There is no longer in the creator dashboard for YouTube, likes no longer exist. They've removed, because it used to be like a percentage, like you had an X percentage of likes per video. They didn't like actually say likes versus dislikes. They just had a percentage of likes. That's been gone for a while now. So in my creator dashboard, I have no idea how many likes my video gets. I actually have to go onto the video itself, onto the YouTube site, onto YouTube proper, go to the video itself to actually make a determination how many likes my video has versus how many dislikes it has. So they are systematically starting to remove these features from YouTube, possibly in service to mainstream media, because it would look very bad if you have news broadcasts posting news stories with an obvious slant and them getting disliked to hell, because that's going to actually feed the independent journalists on the platform that can basically go, yeah, look at the news media. They're posting a very obviously slanted news article, and look at the like to dislike ratio. They're getting absolutely ratioed into oblivion. So and their algorithm would absolutely tank. So that is coming, where they may remove likes and dislikes entirely from videos, or at minimum, if they do secure this deal with mainstream legacy media, you will not have the option to do like or dislike or even comment on legacy media news broadcasts. They're going to do something to protect the legacy media. That is for certain.
Destroyed websites. Maybe this was part of the plan. They destroyed websites with the stupid AI snippets, and now they're all going to YouTube, which is owned by Google.
Yep.
And then Google's going to make ad money off of them.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, all these things are kind of intermingled here. But yeah, they said the New York Times is desperately trying to get on the video. They said video has been the dominant form of media for decades. It's just that until now it was defined by the form factor TV screens. But 2026 isn't 2015. All video can be TV now. The floodgates are open. Where have you been?
No, wait. But here's the thing is all video can be TV now because YouTube dominates TV viewership.
Yes.
So took all these creators and all their work, years, all right, to build up that people wanted to watch it, and it made them win with TV viewership. And now that you all did the hard work, and I can't tell you how many times I've seen this shit go down across, web comics, across, comics in general, across this YouTube, different things where people, worked really hard, built the entire structure, and then after it's built, the people that mocked them and made fun of them, they now they want the platform and they swoop in to try to take it. I can't tell you how many times I've seen this.
And they're also talking about Facebook because Facebook, they quietly made a change to Facebook. If you're wondering why your posts on your pages or whatever don't get seen anymore, it's because you got to post video, you got to post reels specifically, and you got to pay. You got to pay to get seen.
It's ridiculous though, because when you try to go to Facebook and see what everybody's doing and that it's just inundated with videos.
Okay, so let's be real. Nobody cares about Facebook anymore. Facebook doesn't care about Facebook anymore. Facebook cares more about Meta, so they care more about their VR systems and they care more about Instagram. Facebook proper, no one gives a shit about. It has been, effectively speaking, a dead platform for probably the last 10 years. Nobody, like a fraction of people use it compared to what was before. So yeah, it's like I'm honestly surprised that Zuckerberg hasn't just kind of basically said, you know what, fuck it, close it down. We're gonna throw everything into Instagram and maybe try and come up with something new. Facebook is dying. Yeah, it is. The only ones that use Facebook anymore are basically boomers. Even Gen Xers don't really use Facebook all that much anymore. It is primarily the boomers, and honestly, it's the boomers use it for the chat feature. That's kind of what a lot of the boomers use Facebook for. The Xers and younger, they don't even use it. They really don't. Yeah, well, that's why I said, I'm surprised Zuckerberg hasn't closed down Facebook and just basically taken tools and stuff like that and focused everything on Instagram instead. Okay, so you're Gen X and you are one user of Facebook. I'm talking on a macro level. You say Facebook isn't dead because you use it. But if you look at it from a macro level, I would wager that their user base has dropped significantly in the last 10 years. Yeah, and not to mention, Facebook is horrible to work on. If you ever have a problem on Facebook, it's absolutely horrible to get anything done. Whilst I had one of my accounts got hacked, it's gone. I couldn't get it back. Facebook wouldn't do a goddamn thing for me. Some fucking, Nigerian prince got a hold of my Facebook. No, I didn't answer scam. Somebody was just able to get into my account. Someone was able to hack my account and I couldn't get it back. And so that account was gone. I can't do fuck all with it anymore. It's a loss. Thankfully, no personal information was on it because it was used as as a professional page. So there was no personal information. And as soon as that happened, I immediately deleted my personal account. The minute I lost my business account, I immediately deleted my personal account, and Obviously never used it since. Like, I've had family that have said, like, why don't you get on Facebook? You know, you can use the chat feature. I'm like, no, I don't trust Facebook. I don't trust them whatsoever. And I will never use Facebook again. Fuck Facebook. And I think a lot of people feel the same way too. Facebook not only is impossible to work with if you ever run into a problem, excuse me, but also it's riddled with scams. Facebook as a platform is completely riddled with scams. Like, there are more scammers and bots on Facebook than humans. And it's just, it's a dead platform. On a macro level, it's a dead platform. And it's surprising that they just haven't basically just focused wholly on Instagram and tried to turn Instagram into some kind of Twitter competitor.
I don't even
autoplay and everything else.
I don't even know what the hell I'm looking at on Facebook. Like, I go to Facebook, I don't even know what I'm looking at. There's Facebook is like 50. It's like MySpace all over again. It's like 15 different apps kind of duct taped together.
Yes. Well,
but
it's
you
gotten much worse in the last couple of weeks, I've noticed, or month or so. It's gotten a lot worse.
Yeah, it really has. Like, it's almost unusable. Like, I hate Facebook now. Messenger is about the only thing I use, but even that is getting junked up with shit now.
Like Facebook Messenger is worthless when they have WhatsApp. Because I don't know if you guys are aware of this, WhatsApp is owned by Meta. Like, basically, like, Facebook serves absolutely no purpose. You want the Messenger? Cool. You use Meta. You want to have, you know, the Twitter-like experience? You go to Instagram. Facebook itself serves no purpose anymore. It really doesn't.
Now. And a lot of it's the stupid AI they're putting into it. Now they're injecting AI into Instagram too. So good luck with that. We'll see how that works.
Yeah.
Instagram works better than Facebook. They said the results, a raw stream of thought videos, strange experiments, cooking videos. Ultimately, of course, the promised audience never arrived. Okay, so basically, yeah, they turned on video. They started making video for Facebook, but the audience didn't stick around. 2026 is not 2016. Nielsen reports from that era consistently showed that the preferred form of media in 2016 was video, but in 2016, the video consumption overwhelmingly happened on TV. Well, yeah, because it wasn't
the shift. Broadcasting and TV, but now that video consumption is happening on TV
because it wasn't monetized.
Either via like YouTube or other streaming platforms now have like channels dedicated to just shows that were on YouTube or whatever.
Well, 2016 and the years following it is when the online content creation boom happened. Leave us not forget, not necessarily in 2016, but in 2020, that is when we saw an explosion of content creation because of COVID. Because everybody was stuck at home, you saw an explosion of streamers, particularly VTubers, and you saw an explosion of content creation because no one could go anywhere and people were sitting at home. And they said, well, fuck it. I might as well make a video and I'll post it to YouTube. And since everyone else was at home, they were all on YouTube. And so the content creating space completely took off. 2016 was the inception of it because, we know what happened in 2016. So that's what started it. You know, you saw the start of it with the 2016 elections. That started people saying, I want to use my voice. I have something to say about what I'm seeing in the political and social sphere. And so people started posting their stuff on YouTube and monetizing it. And then 2020 happened with COVID, and then it just exploded because you now had an explosion of content creators and you had an explosion of an audience. The audience exploded on YouTube as well because of COVID, because everybody's sitting at home with nothing to do. Even if they're working from home, they're still like, okay, I'm sitting at my desk at home doing work. I'm bored out of my mind because there's no coworkers or anything to talk to. So what do? They set up their phone, they set up the tablet, they open up YouTube, and they either watch or listen to podcasts while they're working. That's what did it. And that has changed the news media landscape for decades now. That it will change the landscape for decades. And the legacy media, because they're always slow as hell, are only now figuring this out.
Podcasts and things playing and playing and playing.
Yeah.
So yeah, of course it is. This is no surprise. If you've been watching anything, then it's like, why is a Hollywood Reporter so slow to talk about it?
Well, probably because they're going to pivot to video because nobody's reading the Hollywood
No, they're like,
Reporter.
oh my God, we had a brilliant idea, guys.
We had a
figured it
brilliant
out."
idea 10 years ago, and then we didn't do it because it didn't pay because it was
And then they'll infest Rumble once they catch up. Not necessarily for one very specific reason. If Rumble maintains its stance on that it is a platform of freedom of speech, they may not necessarily infest Rumble because people will drive them off the platform. If you try and get like the legacy medias or basically the journalists that love to lie about everything, then the audience will drive them off the platform. Or like fellow Rumble creators will just obliterate them with their own counter videos that will perform 10 times better. As if Rumble maintains its freedom of speech stance, then they won't infest Rumble because they know they'll get dumpstered instantaneously the moment that they try by both users and content creators.
mess. And back then, you really couldn't monetize video. People forget when YouTube first started, there was no monetization. People uploaded, and that's why we had like, I guess I'd say like pure YouTube where people just uploaded clips and stuff and because they wanted to.
Mhm.
Yes,
and it was
monetization
fun
started,
for
what,
them, and then it
2015,
became a
2016?
business. And then once it becomes a business,
Yeah. Isn't I can't remember exactly my history of YouTube. Didn't YouTube go with monetization in like 2015 or 2016? Was it 2010 that they could start monetization? Okay, 2010. I was rather off. Okay, I could not remember what year the monetization occurred.
you get big business involved. Once the money's good, at first it was like a couple bucks here, a couple bucks there. But once it became like a massive revenue driver, and I do think guys like Mr. Beast definitely kind of signed the death certificate on old YouTube because these companies now are looking at like, oh, well, Mr. Beast, one guy, even though he's a company
Exactly.
technically, but that one guy can make all that money. Just think about how much money we could make if we threw even more money at YouTube.
Right.
And bought off YouTube. So let's stroll a bomb here. They're basically like, we told you so, which, I can appreciate because we
Well, they
tell you
don't
so
think
all
you
the
told you
time.
so, but they didn't tell you so because they're all trying to jump on it now too. But anyway.
They said, yeah, when a viewer is streaming Megyn Kelly on their TV, it may be coming at the expense of Fox News. When someone chooses to watch Bon Appetit's YouTube channel, it comes at the expense of Food Network.
Thing is, they wanted to watch those networks. They would. They don't.
Right. They're talking about Ms. Rachel. She's not going to last, I don't think. She's too political. Mr. Beast's high-stake games come at the expense of shows on ABC. And now they said, yes, reports from the New York Times on video could replace journalism from CNN. And we're going to get to CNN.
It already has. It already has. Look at the people that will tune in to people like Nick Shirley or Asmongold versus CNN. Look at people that will turn into, God help me, Hassan or Destiny versus CNN. Yeah, this has been going on for a long time, like years. And the legacy media has been struggling to try and maintain their hold in the TV space versus YouTube. And they've refused to acknowledge that they're losing for a long time now until now. Now they're finally going, oh, we can't do this anymore. We're losing money hand over fist.
We're going to get there.
They're replacing journalism from CNN. That's why they were so pissed because like during the last election, people were tuning into YouTubers than they were the mainstream media because the YouTubers were being more honest about stuff than they were.
Thank you. Thank you, Geeky. That is exactly what I've been saying. This is what I've been saying forever. Thank you, Geeky, for saying it. Yes, they turn into YouTubers because YouTubers, generally speaking, are honest in what they report on and their commentary on it. and they will happily call out the legacy media for lying. They've been doing this for years. And yes, YouTubers are varied, but they're also, generally speaking, more trustworthy than legacy media. Legacy media for a long time now has been exposed for corporate agendas and having very significant slants on every story that they make. I've mentioned this before. I can't tell you how many times, every story on like CNBC, MSNBC, CNN, almost every story that they would broadcast invariably always had some kind of a slant of how does this affect poor minorities? How does this affect poor Black people? Like every fucking story, that question was always asked. No matter what the subject matter was, the question always was asked. So, how is this affecting poor Black families? And people were done with that bullshit because there was the obvious slant. YouTubers, at least, are, for the most part, honest in their commentary and what they're talking about, and they actually do follow-up. They actually do research. Like, look at Nick Shirley. Look at Nux. Look at Kirsche. Look at Asmongold. Look at all these content creators. Like 3 of the 4 would be considered like news. Okay? Nick Shirley, obviously journalistic. Nux, yeah, he's journalistic. Kirsche, absolutely, she's journalistic. Asmongold, quasi-journalistic. He does more social commentary than he does media reporting, but you get my point. You get my point. Is that people tune into them and more on YouTube because they'll actually get an honest and even nuanced take on the subject matter that they are discussing. You don't get that on the legacy media anymore. You don't.
That's also why this is where we're going to start talking about the news channels, because and you're going to see how the palms are greased. Mm-hmm. That's also why TV channels like MS Now, which was MSNBC, are inking deals for YouTube shows from the likes of Crooked Media. Would you trust a company called Crooked Media?
Is that what it's actually called?
It's called Crooked Media, yes.
I mean, first of all, if you trust MS Now, you got some issues, but that's all.
But they're teaming up with Crooked Media. Okay, I'm also like, you don't have the production capabilities to make a YouTube show yourself when literally a guy in his basement with a microphone and a webcam can do it.
It's not about that. It's about no one wants to hear what you have to say, and going to YouTube isn't going to change that. Like they're under the impression that everybody's going there, so we'll go there too. They didn't want to hear what you had to say, which is why they went to YouTube to begin with. If you come in there, they're still not going to listen to you.
They will not compete fairly. They will cut deals with YouTube, advertising deals, and then YouTube will boost them because we've seen
it. But that's still, even if you're boosted, people don't have to actually watch the video.
No, but what they'll do is
let's see what Neon's gonna say.
Have it like appear above your search results, or they'll autoplay. Like I said before, we had that Oliver guy, whatever, last week tonight. He would autoplay after almost all of our videos. I'm like, why? There's no audience crossover from us to him, but he's mainstream media. Right. So it was very weird. It was a very weird.
Not only will they boost them above every other channel in the algorithm, they may do back end where if you try to say don't recommend this channel, the system ignores it for those specific channels.
Thing, and it happened for weeks and then it stopped. So I'm like, did they have a deal? Because they advertise. It's part of HBO.
Yeah.
It said Netflix is picking up short form programming from the likes of People Inc. and yes, The Hollywood Reporter. So yeah. And they have dedicated streaming channels and all this shit. Like if you got the Roku too, they all have their own, like, oh, here's the Vice network. So you can watch Vice. I don't think anybody's
watching it though. Because again, you wouldn't be failing so miserably if people wanted to hear what you had to say.
But they're like, oh, the end of reading is here. So we're all going to get dumber. But
people are just getting dumber in general. I mean, the stuff I see people write, I'm just like,
not wrong.
Ow, that hurts.
Not wrong.
Just trying to understand what you're posting hurts.
So Barry Weiss, this is what they're afraid of too. Barry Weiss came into CBS News and she really rocked the boat. And her background is pretty unorthodox. She did work at the New York Times. She left because she thought they were too far left, even though she's a gay Jewish woman. She thought they were too far left. So
why? Surely, you fucked up. If a gay Jewish woman said, "You're too much for me," that is the pinnacle of DEI SJR woke. If a gay Jewish woman says, "You're too much for me," I'm out. Fucking hell. And Boondocks Twisted, thank you for the raid over on Kick. Welcome in, Raiders.
That tells you something. And she went to Substack and she started doing podcasts and she blew up over there. And then Paramount brought her in to run CBS News, and she's been firing people, and it's chaos. It's absolute chaos. Because,
by the way, there's another factor involved here that hasn't been mentioned that the legacy news media, I think, wants to take advantage of. Censorship. Sounds odd, I know, but with the legacy media, when they broadcast on television, they fall under the auspice of the FCC. So they have to bleep out things like swears. On YouTube, they don't have to do that. And if they pay YouTube, if they pay YouTube to do it, they can also pay YouTube to, because normally a lot of content creators will bleep out swears, because if you swear too much on a YouTube video, you lose your monetization. But who's to say that the legacy media won't pay YouTube to sort of look the other way when it comes to that rule? And that way, when they're interviewing people on the street, they don't have to bleep out swears. They can keep the swears in, and therefore they're not going to be as heavily censored as they would be on television by the FCC.
Hey Ember, quick question. When will you interview the kid or Grandpa Buff? We need this content. The fans are asking for it.
I don't know. I wouldn't hold your breath. I'm sorry.
The old guard doesn't want to do what she wants. They don't want to respect her authority, whatever the deal is. And basically, this is like, we're seeing this come to a head with the new media versus legacy media. And she's probably going to be in charge over at CNN too, or at least they're going to shake CNN up. And she's pushing for podcasts and videos, like short, like pushing out onto YouTube and stuff. So I have to wonder, like, at some point in time, will the networks themselves not even really exist? Will it just be content producers, news content producers, and then they just put the stuff on YouTube or put it on like a streaming channel or something on Roku, and they don't.
You're going to see, what you're going to see if the legacy media goes into YouTube, you're going to see the end of the 30-minute or hour-long news broadcasts. That's going to go away. The only time they'll do something like that if there is something significant occurring and they're basically doing a live report. Otherwise, they're just going to be they're going to be doing like every other content creator and uploading a 5-minute clip, a 9-minute clip of that particular story. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. You're going to be inundated with these like 5 or 9-minute like video clips put up by the legacy media. The only time you're going to get a substantive broadcast if it's something live, like what we saw with the Carmelo Anthony trial results. Then they went live, and the funniest part is when it was when they were talking to the people in the station. When the people in the station were talking, it was boring. That's the funniest part. No one gave a shit about the commentators in the station that were talking while you were getting these sweeping panoramic shots of the courthouse exterior. The only time anyone gave a shit is when they went to the on-the-ground camera and you had a whole bunch of protesters chimping out the parking lot and doing crazy dances, trying to intimidate white people that were there. That's the only time anybody cared. What the actual anchors were saying, nobody cared because they were boring. They were repeating the same things over and over again, and nobody cared what they had to say. So that it's unless the FCC starts regulating the streaming platforms like they do mainstream media, that may come next, or you may see the what is it? What's that regulating body for internet? Oh God, I'm blanking on what the U.S. regulatory body is regarding the internet. Yes, the CRTC in Canada, but it's not that in the US. I don't think the FCC, I'm not sure the FCC governs internet broadcasts. To my understanding, I don't think, now I could be wrong on this. I didn't think, does the FCC cover internet broadcasts? ICC. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. It's okay. But like what could end up happening is, so they would have to basically do all new regulations. And that may be coming. That may be coming of new regulations. If the legacy media makes a big move into YouTube, we may now start seeing new regulations in regards to online content, which it's a government agency. Do you really trust a government agency to come up with new regulations for platforms like YouTube and Twitch? Do you really trust them to do that? That would mean that a lot of your they would probably end up doing it where a lot of your favorite content creators can't swear anymore. Like me, like I would not be able to wax poetic with some of my favorite expressions if the FCC comes up with all new regulations, because legacy media has now moved whole hog into online content creation. And now the FCC is like, well, now we have to regulate this part too, even harder. And now all of a sudden, new regulations come into play. And now content creation is neutered because you can't actually say, basically, you can't say what you want to say because otherwise you'll get nuked off the platform, not simply by YouTube, but by the FCC. It's a little scary to think about.
Need to actually run the broadcast channel anymore because
that's
who the
probably
hell
where
watches
it's going. But like I said, again, if just because they have this in their head that if they go there, if they come to YouTube, that they're suddenly going to be big again, and that's the reason that YouTube people are beating you is because people didn't want to hear what you had to say. And I keep saying that over and over again because.
And another thing is what'll happen is if the legacy media comes to YouTube and YouTube starts pushing the legacy media, all of those, I'm repeating myself, aren't I? They'll all go to Rumble. All of the independents that are getting pushed down by the legacy media will just go to Rumble. And then Rumble will have the opportunity to basically kick the shit out of YouTube, which I'd love to see, honestly. I'd love to see that.
I can't understand how else to explain it to them. It doesn't matter if you come over to this other platform, short of having other people kicked off, and even then, they'll just go someplace else, and people will follow them to wherever they go.
Yeah, that's why everybody's kind of like, hey, you need a backup for YouTube, like Odyssey or Rumble, and I don't know. I mean, this might actually push people away from YouTube if it's all flooded with all the mainstream crap they've been trying to get away from.
Mm-hmm.
What did I say?
When their fellow kids start coming in, everybody's going to bail.
It's like exactly. Like if I wanted to watch TV, it's right over there. I can watch TV, right? I'm on YouTube, and it was I think even more pronounced the division between YouTube and television a couple of years ago because people have to go on their computer or on their phone or something to watch YouTube. But it's like I'm on YouTube because I don't want to watch TV. I want different opinions. I want people to tell me what they think. And not, be at the whims of the advertisers or the government or whatever. Mm-hmm. And now we're going to lose that. And I think
there it is. Neon just said it. Neon just said what I could say. They want to listen to people like news YouTubers because news YouTubers are beholden only to their audience. They're beholden to their audience. They're beholden to the truth. Legacy media are beholden to their corporate masters and the agendas that their corporate masters want to push. This is what I've been saying. This is exactly why I've been saying people trust newstubers far more than they trust legacy media. For that exact reason that Neon just said. I have been saying this for like 2 fucking years now. That this is why everybody gets their news for YouTube and not legacy media. Gee, it's almost like I actually know how things work.
It doesn't matter in the UK. They're going to try to push laws to make sure the BBC still showing above people anyway.
I think it's already happening here. It's just it's not a law. It's money.
Yes, we've been telling you this.
Yeah, so it's definitely going to change. I don't think it's going to change for the better. But apparently, CNN's losing sleep over the
Good.
the Paramount acquisition.
Good. I hope
here.
they do lose sleep.
So CEO Mark Thompson admitted to his staff he can't even shake the tension gripping the network as the takeover is looming. He says, I swear to God, I go home and try to relax and I can still feel the tension in the room because I'm in the room and I'm no different from anyone else. Yeah, because they know they're gone.
You know what? That's funny. My mom used to say this thing that when she was going through menopause, she was just like upset and angry at everything. So she and I'd even go into the closet and shut the door, but then I'd still be upset because I was still in there with me. And it was like, that's what that reminds me of.
He's basically saying, hey, we're probably going to get fired. A lot of us are going to get fired. They're already, though, CNN, it was kind of laughable, really. They were trying to do that podcast style format where they were just kind of all sitting in their offices with a bunch of tchotchkes on their desk, like somebody screaming out of the basement. And then they were going to chop it up into clips because I think they all know this is what's coming because the Ellisons are going to be like cheap, cheap, cheap.
I don't know, call me crazy, but maybe you do better if you just report on the news without too much bias. I mean, if you just tried to be fair and balanced and just report the news, I don't know, people might listen to you more.
That's crazy. That's crazy talk. How very terrible. Well, whose news? Whose truth are we reporting?
Well, how about the truth? You know what I mean? And then people would be maybe they'd be more willing to listen to you. And just, throw it out there.
Crazy idea. But there we go, guys. They're coming. They're probably going to push people like us out. That's okay. You can go listen to the audio version. Listen to the audio version of Clownfish TV. They're coming over there, too, though. They're coming in the podcast space, too.
But you know what? Nobody puts Geeky in a corner, so I'll find a way.
Sometimes I do.
Nature finds a way.
And sometimes nature finds a way. Yeah.
Sometimes you do too, right?
I do. Yeah.
Sorry.
Are we going to wrap this up?
Yes.
Police. See, you're not going to see this on CNN.
True.
Whoever said that on CNN, if it was like one anchor to the other anchor, be like, that guy's getting arrested. What's he talking about?
That's harassment.
Harassment. All right. So please subscribe. We'll talk later.
Bye.
Oh, yeah. So it's exactly what I've been saying. I have been saying this for years. That this is the way it was going. I fucking called this years ago. On stream, I called this. Did anybody listen to me? Well, you guys did. But did the rest of the YouTube listen to me? Did they heed my words? Oh, no. I said this was coming. I absolutely said this was coming for years. It's almost like, even though I'm an anime redhead, I actually know what the hell I'm talking about sometimes.
Ember burns bright, brighter than